Question 11.
Tēnā koe te pika. My question is to the Prime Minister. Does he stand by all his comments, government statements and actions? Sorry.
Yes.
Supplementary. Why is the Prime Minister allowing the government to delay recognition of the State of Palestine until September?
Well, it's a government that wants to weigh up its position over the next month. We acknowledge that some of our close partners have changed their position, others have not. We will work our way through the process as we outlined yesterday.
Supplementary. What criteria does the Prime Minister believe Palestinians have not met that is preventing his government from immediately recognising their humanity and statehood today?
Well, as I explained earlier, it's been a long-standing bipartisan position that New Zealand supports a two-state solution. It goes right back to 1947 and the partition. We want to see a state of Israel, a state of Palestine, living peacefully side by side. But we are going to review and weigh up our position as we articulated, and we will. It's an important issue, it's a complex issue, and we'll work through it sensibly and seriously.
Supplementary. How does the Prime Minister justify targeted killings of journalists in Gaza, including Anas Jamal al-Sharif and the entire Al Jazeera journalist team based there?
Well, there is...
the Prime Minister doesn't have responsibility for that. And I think the question...
My question was, how does the Prime Minister justify? You want me to change that, or that's ruled out?
The Prime Minister is not required to justify anything other than government activity.
To apply the Prime Minister's logic, does IDF's campaign against Palestinians undermine Israel's claim of statehood?
Point of order.
Point of order, the Honourable David Seymour.
Mr Speaker, I know that member is slow on the rules, but she cannot make an assertion that the Prime Minister has such language.
That is right. This is a very sensitive subject. It's a matter that New Zealand has at afar, I have to say, and government positioning of it is something that you can question, but you can't assert something and then ask a question about the assertion. So have another crack.
Does the Prime Minister believe killing of journalists in Gaza, including Anas Jamal al-Sharif and the entire Al Jazeera journalist team based there, is justifiable?
I have no responsibility for the actions of Israel or any other country. I'm responsible as Prime Minister of New Zealand for New Zealand.
Supplementary. What will be left to protect in a month's time if the Prime Minister waits until September to act, with the Israel government approving further escalation?
Start the question again. That may not be a question that some on the back bench to my right are not happy with, but they will listen to it.
What will be left to protect in a month's time if the Prime Minister waits until September to act, with the Israel government approving further escalation in Gaza, including measures that will deepen the starvation and killing of Palestinians?
I would just say to the member, there are strongly held views on all sides of this debate across the whole of New Zealand and in fact all around the world. What this government has been consistent in doing since this conflict started is actually calling for the immediate release of hostages from Hamas. I'm sure that member would agree with that is the appropriate action. What this government has been calling for is for Israel to give unfettered humanitarian access, to protect civilians and to honour its obligations under international law. And what this government has consistently called for is a ceasefire. That is the way in which we get ourselves to a pathway on the two-state solution.
Point of order.
Point of order, Deputy Nauru Whaka.
My question was, what will be left to protect?
That is not a question that the Prime Minister of New Zealand can possibly answer. And it's certainly not a question that is within his ministerial responsibilities, his Prime Ministerial responsibilities. And the member next to you can assert that all he likes. That is simply not the case. Supplementary, the Honourable David Seymour.
Has the New Zealand government, the New Zealand Prime Minister is responsible for made contributions of humanitarian aid to this crisis in Gaza, and if so, to how much money?
We have supported humanitarian assistance to the tune of $37 million. But one of the major challenges right now is that it's very difficult to get aid into Gaza because of the actions of Israel. And that is why our government has joined with many others and foreign ministers all around the world calling for Israel to release and enable unfettered humanitarian access.